Oh, sorry. Good morning, beloveds. Giovanni was trying to steal my highlighter. So, sorry, cat. Yeah. All right. Good morning, beloveds. The cat was trying to steal my highlighter from the table, and he just sauntered his way out of the room. We have the windows open, so I'm not sure what's cats. Okay. All right. So we are doing your spiritual power. Let's do the housekeeping really quick. And all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. Website is creativelife.org. Constant contact email, info@creativelife.org. If you will email that, you will get one email a week unless something unusual happens, because I will point out we do live in hurricane country. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month. The hot links are hot. If it says click here now, it means it. And it is a blind CC, which means nobody will see your email. So you won't end up on anybody else's email list because of us. Okay. The last thing that I will mention is the social medias, simply because we don't monetize them. We don't want to deal with we don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead is to engage with the pages. So like, subscribe, share, comment, subscribe, like, follow, subscribe based on which platform you're on for the pages, and then engage with the individual posts by reacting, commenting, and sharing. You'd think I'd know what I was talking about because I've been doing this long enough, right? But there we are. So, it is the more engagement we have with the pages, the more followers, then the algorithms go, oh, more people should see your stuff. So, it is a free and easy way for you to support the center. All it costs you is a click. All right. That should be everything. Yep, I think so. So moving on to your spiritual power. This is a collection of Ernest Holmes works. It is not a singular work. It is a collection of them. We have done Immortality. We have done Your Invisible Power. We are currently in What Religious Science Teaches. The irony of that is I already have 2 copies of What Religious Science Teaches, and now I have a 3rd. I don't even know when I got this book. Honestly, I found it in my bookshelf and went, oh, that looks interesting. I was trying to get all my Ernest Holmes books in one place. You'd think it's not as easy as it sounds. Which is why I know I have 2 copies of What Religious Science Teaches. Although I don't think I bought both of them. I think I bought one of them, and the other one may have been a gift. So, yeah, which just means I need to pass it along. All right. So we are currently doing What Religious Science Teaches. We have done the introduction and the purpose of, and so now we are going to get into the teachings of. This is a little bit of a long section, but it's Saturday and I don't have anywhere to go, so I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing, because after that we are going to do the Declaration of Principles. That's really long, and so what we'll probably do is one or two of the principles a day, and so it'll take us a couple of like a week and a half to get through it. It's one of those things that these topics are rich and deep and meaty, and I want to give you time to go away and think about it, because frequently that's what I need to do. I need to go away and think about it because, I've been doing this for a while, and he still says things that make me go, wait, what? So, when I was finishing Your Invisible Power, he mentioned that city in Egypt, and I went, I have an undergraduate degree in anthropology, never heard of it. And I was like, so I looked it up, and I'm like, I'm going to spend some more time digging into this. So, all right, let me get my glasses on, and we will get started with the teachings of religious science. So I'm also going to get my highlighter open, because this is not the one that Geo was trying to steal. Geo was trying to steal my fancy new purple one. Okay. The teachings of religious science. And if you're following along, we are on page 97. The future religion will be free from fear, superstition, and doubt, and will ask no person where God may be found. For the secret place of the Most High will be revealed in the inner sanctuary of a person's own heart. And here's where I love, there's a terrible joke that says, when, the various religions come to your door and say, have you found Jesus yet? And Jesus is hiding behind the curtain. And then the response is, oh, I didn't know he was missing. Yes, I have a terrible sense of humor, and I remember very few punchlines, but that's one of my favorites. So, all right. Okay. For the secret place of the Most High will be revealed to be in the inner sanctuary of a person's own heart, and the eternal God will sit enthroned in their own mind. We can know no God external to that power of perception by which alone we are conscious of anything. God must be interpreted to humanity through humanity's own nature. Right? And that is one of the arguments that I have made, that we say that God created us in God's own image. And yet, when you look around the world, most of the the descriptions of God are God created in our image. And God is so much more than that. And that's one of the things that you have to understand. And that's, and I had a conversation with somebody because, like I said, my undergraduate degree is in anthropology. And he said, oh, I thought all anthropologists were godless. And I was like, why would you think that? We've seen so many expressions of God around the world. How could we not believe in God? But that's the problem, is all of those expressions of God are generally created in our image, not the other way around. So that's the word I was looking for, expressions. Those expressions of God were created in our image. It's not the truth of God. It may be a small smidgen of what God is, but when we try and say that's all God is, and we've created that God in our image, we have done a disservice to ourselves and to God, to the divine. All right. Who would know God must be as God, for it who inhibit, God who I cannot say the word inhabits. That's the word I'm trying to say. All right, I'm going to try that sentence again. Who would know God must be as God, for God who inhabits eternity also finds a dwelling place in God's own creation. Standing before the altar of life in the temple of faith, one learns that they are an integral part of the universe and that it would not be complete without them. And that is for every person who has ever sat there and thought the world would be better off without me. No. You are a beloved expression of the divine. The world needs you. That native faith within, which we call intuition, is the direct impartation of divine wisdom through us. Who can doubt its gentle urges or misunderstand its meanings? And see, that's the thing. He called it the native faith within. And when we go with our own understanding, most of the time, that is a truer faith. The problem is at this point, none of us know what that is anymore because we have been so put upon by everybody else's interpretation of faith. It's like, no, you know what? I need to go and get quiet and go to that secret place within myself for that native faith, and stop listening to what everybody else says my faith should be. My faith is between me and God. Your faith is between you and God. I can't tell you what your faith is. All I can do is hold a lamp up so that maybe you can look and see within yourself. Which is what Ernest is trying to do. All right. This inner life may be developed through meditation and prayer. Meditation is quiet, contemplative thought with a definite purpose always in mind. Prayer is a repetitive mental and spiritual attitude through which one expects to receive inspiration. Wow. Okay. There is a presence prevailing all. There is an intelligence running through all. There is a power sustaining all, binding all into one perfect whole. The realization of this presence, intelligence, power, and unity constitutes the nature of the mystic Christ, the indwelling spirit, the image of God, and the childship of the Spirit. Christ means the universal spirit of childship, the entire creation, both visible and invisible. There is one spirit of all. This one spirit, conceiving within itself, gives birth to all the divine ideas. The sum total of all these ideas constitutes the mystic Christ. Nope. Jesus was a man, a human being who understood his own nature. He knew that as the human embodies the divine, it manifests the Christ nature. Jesus never thought of himself as different from others. His whole teaching was that what he did, others could do. His divine nature was aroused. He had plunged beneath the material surface of creation and found its spiritual cause. That. See, I tell you, Ernest every now and again just has this really amazing turn of phrase. Jesus plunged beneath the material surface of creation and found its spiritual cause. This cause he called God or the Father. To this indwelling God, he constantly turned for help, daily guidance, and counsel. To Jesus, God was an indwelling reality, the infinite person in every personality. It was by the power of this spirit that Jesus lived. He clearly understood the unity of God and humanity. Every person is a potential Christ. From the least to the greatest, the same life runs through all, threading itself into the patterns of our individuality. Threading itself into the patterns of our individuality. It is over all, in all, and through all. As Jesus, the man gave way to the divine idea, the human took on the Christ spirit and became the voice of God to humanity. Conscious of his divinity, yet humble as he contemplated the infinite life around him, Jesus spoke from the height of spiritual perception, proclaiming the deathless reality of the individual life and the continuity of the individual soul, the unity of the universal spirit within all people. Religious science, following the example of Jesus, teaches that all people may aspire to divinity, since all people are incarnations of God. It also teaches a direct relationship between God and humanity. The indwelling spirit is God. It could be nothing less, since we have spirit plus nothing, out of which all things are made. Behind each is the infinite. Within each is the Christ. There is no boundary line between the mind of humanity and the mind which is God. Now, I keep using the word Christ because that is the term in Western thought that we are familiar with. But what we are talking about, like the Buddhists call it the Buddhist consciousness, the Hindus call it the Brahma consciousness, Muhammad, the Islam calls it, the Muhammad consciousness. It's all the same thing. We've got to quit getting caught up in the terminology and in the language and recognize that we're all talking about the same thing. We're all talking about, I don't care what religion, everybody has the Christ consciousness. They just call it something slightly different. But that's what we're talking about here. There is no boundary line between the mind of humanity and the mind which is God. That's the Christ consciousness. Religious science teaches that that human personality should be and may become the highest manifestation of God. There is a reservoir of life and power as we approach the center, loosed and flowing through to the circumference as we realize the unity of the whole and our relationship to it. God is incarnated in all people and individualized through all creation without a loss to itself. Okay? That's what we mean by transcendent and immanent. So God is more than the sum of its parts, but God is also in all of the parts. To be an individual means to exist as an entity. As God is the infinite person, rightly understood, so the Spirit is the infinite essence of all individuality. Within the one supreme mind, since it is infinite, exists the possibility of projecting limitless expression of itself. But since the infinite is infinite, each expression of itself is unique and different from any other expression. Thus, the infinite is not divided, but multiplied. Not divided, but multiplied. Okay. While all people have the same origin, no two are alike except in the ultimate essence. I like that. While all people have the same origin, no people are alike except in the ultimate essence. One God and Spirit of us all, but numberless childships. Each childship is a unique institution in the universe of wholeness. A person is an individualized center of God consciousness and spiritual power. Let me try that again. A person is an individualized center of God consciousness and spiritual power, as complete as they know themselves to be, and they know themselves only as they comprehend their relationship to the whole. That's a mouthful. You can only know God as well as you know yourself, is what it sounded like it said to me. This overbrooding presence, this inner sense of a greater reality, bears witness to itself through our highest acts and in our deepest emotions. Who is there who has not at times felt this inner presence? It is impossible to escape our true nature. The voice of truth is insistent. The urge to unfold is constant. In the long run, each will fully express their divinity, for good will come at last alike to all. Ernest quoting the Bible and not citing his sources. Yep. We stand in the shadow of a mighty presence, while love forever points the way to heaven. Mingled with the voice of humanity is the word of God, for truth is a synonym for God, and whoever speaks any truth speaks the word of God. Science reveals external principles, mathematics, immutable laws, and the illumined minds reveal the eternal spirit. Behind all is a unity. Through all is a diversity. Saturating all is a divinity. Oh my God, can I keep that phrase? Behind all is a unity. Through all is a diversity. Saturating all is a divinity. That is an amazing phrase. That is an amazing sentence. I love it. I love it. We can no more do without religion than we can do without food, shelter, or clothing. I might argue with him there. I would say we can no more do without spirituality. Religion, but if we define our terms, the way Ernest is defining religion and the way I'm defining it are probably different, which is why I would use the word spirituality while he's using the word religion. But I agree with him in the state. We can no more do without spirituality than we can do without food, shelter, or clothing. According to our belief about God, will be our estimate of life here and hereafter. To believe in God, a God of vengeance, is one thing, and to believe in a God of love and a just law of cause and effect is another. To believe in special dispensation of providence robs us of our own immediate accessibility to goodness and creates the necessity of mediums other than our own souls through which we must gain entrance to reality. We cannot reach beyond the vision of our own souls. We must have direct access to the truth. Okay, I think what he means by special dispensation of providence is like, okay, so I have a minister's license. I have Reverend in front of my name. That doesn't make me any closer to God than you. It doesn't. The Pope, Pope Francis? Yeah, Pope Francis is no closer to God than I am. Pope Francis is no closer to God than you are. There is no special dispensation. All it means is that I've spent a little time in school to learn to read this with maybe a more discerning mind. Maybe. I'm not even going to say clearer, but I also learned a lot of other things like financial and psychology and things like that. That's what I learned in school. Just because I have a minister's license doesn't make me any closer to God than you are. And even my regular daily spiritual practice does not make me any closer to God than you. You're the same distance from God that I am. All it does is it means that I have worked on my relationship with God in a slightly different way. I'm not even going to say that my relationship with God is better than yours. You might have an absolutely wonderful relationship with God. It just means I've worked on my relationship with God in a different way. That's what I'm trying to say. Nobody has a better relationship. No, we all have different relationships with God, but there is nothing special where I'm closer to God than you. Nope. At all. Ernest firmly believes that. To believe in a specialized providence is both scientific and sensible. We are always specializing some law of nature. This is the manner in which all science advances. Unless we can thus specialize the great law of life itself, the law of mind and spirit, we have no possibility of further advancing the scale of being. Ernest, you're confusing me. The unique power that Jesus expressed was the result of his conscious union with the creative principle, which is God. Okay. The unique power that Jesus expressed was a result of his, Okay. Jesus realized that we are living in a spiritual universe now, and like Buddha, Plato, Socrates, Swedenborg, Emerson, and Whitman, he clearly understood and taught a law of parallels or spiritual correspondence. The parables of Jesus were mostly illustrations of that concept of the laws of nature and the laws of thought are identical. This has been one of the highest perceptions of the enlightened ages. Wait, what? Okay, I've confused myself. Maybe because I changed pages. Okay, the parables of Jesus were mostly illustrations of the concept that the law of nature and the law of thought are identical. Okay, got it. So, the universe in which we live is a spiritual system governed by the laws of mind. There are not two minds, there is but one mind, which is God. The outpush of the mind of God through the mind of humanity is the self-realization of spirit seeking a new outlet for its own expression. What? The outpush of the mind of God through the mind of a person is the self-realization spirit looking for a new outlet. It's basically God looking for a new way to express itself. Ideas come from the great mind and operate through the human mind. The two are one. In this way, the infinite mind is personal to each individual. We're almost finished. It is from the infinite self-knowingness of God that our power to know arises, because our mind springs from the universal mind. In this way, the infinite multiplies itself through the finite. Religious science teaches that God is personal, and personal in a unique sense to everyone. It teaches that conscious communion with the indwelling spirit opens the avenues of intuition and provides a new starting point for the creative power of the Almighty. No person ever lived who valued the individual life more than Jesus. He proclaimed his divinity through his humanity and taught that all people are siblings. Every person comes from the bosom of the unseen spirit. As the divinity of Christ is awakened through the humanity of people, the divine spark shot from the central fires of the universal flame warms other souls in the glow of its own self-realization. When you know who you are, you give people permission to be who they are. It is the greatest gift that we can give each other. We can give only what we have. The only shadow that we cast is the shadow of the self. This shadow lengthens as we realize the great presence in which we live, move, and have our being. Religious science not only emphasizes this unity of God and humanity, it teaches us that in such a degree as our thought becomes spiritualized, it actually manifests the power of God. In doing this, it literally follows the teachings of Jesus when he proclaims that all things are possible to them who believe. It is written that the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise them up. It is self-evident that the prayer of faith is a positive acceptance of the good we desire. Okay? It is self-evident that the prayer of faith is the positive acceptance of the good we desire. Faith is a movement within the mind. It is a certain way of thinking. It is an affirmative mental attitude. Throughout the ages and practiced by every religion, wonderful results have been obtained through the prayer of faith. There is a law governing this possibility, else it never could have been. It is the business of religious science to view these facts, estimate their cause, and in doing so, provide a definite knowledge of the laws governing the facts. Okay. It is the business of religious science. Religious science teaches that right thinking can demonstrate success and abundance, can offer help to those who are in physical distress, and bring peace to those who are lost in the maze of confusion, doubt, and fear. Whew. Religious science teaches that the kingdom of God is at hand, that there is a perfection at the center of all things, and that true salvation comes only through true enlightenment, through a more conscious and a more complete union of our lives with the invisible. Religious science does not place an undue importance either on mental healing or the law of abundance. Its main emphasis is placed not on visible things, but on the invisible. It teaches that there is an invisible law governing every person's life. This law is a law of faith or belief. It is a law of mind and consciousness. This will make a great appeal to the practical person, for when the law of our being is understood, it may be consciously used. thus providing every individual with a certain way to freedom, to happiness, and to success. Religious science is a religion of joy. It is a religion free from fear and uncertainty. It is a religion of faith, a faith justified by results. All people are instinctively religious. Again, I would disagree with him. All people are instinctively spiritual. But again, it's just semantics, just words. Okay? So, all people are instinctively spiritual, and everyone has an intuition within them, which, should they follow it, would lead them inevitably to a place not only of an inner sense of certainty, but to a place of outer conditions of security. The divine spirit is not limited, nor does it wish to limit us. Okay? Let's say that in plain English. It is not limited, nor does it wish to limit us. Its whole intent is to give us a more abundant life. The time has come when religion must be made practical, and when faith in the invisible must be consciously developed, free from dogma, superstition, and fear. Religious science today offers the world what ages have been waiting for. It is the culmination of the hope, the aspiration, and the faith of the enlightened of all time. The truth it teaches is old. It has run through spiritual philosophies of all ages, but it has always been more or less handicapped by the dogma and superstition opposed upon it by the theology of its times. The new age demands that the fear and superstition surrounding religious conviction be removed, and that the truth, plain, simple, and direct, be presented, that people may learn how to live now, in the presence, with the assurance that the eternal God is thy refuge. So we're going to pick up tomorrow with our Declaration of Principles. Yeah. Okay. We're going to pick it up. And it looks like what he's going to do is, I think you're going to read them, and then he's going to break them down and explain each one in his own manners. So like I said, what we'll probably do is a couple of them each day, maybe even one, just depends on how crazy he makes me. Or rather, here's what I should say, how crazy I allow him to make me with his explanation. Because that's the thing. I do mostly agree with Ernest Holmes. And when I disagree with Ernest, it's just semantics. It's not the core of the thing. I would just use slightly different terminology, simply because, he's writing this 100 years ago, and language has shifted and language has changed. And I also get tired of saying man, he, and him all the time. So, semantics. All right. That was a long one. I'm going to go get something to eat because my stomach is growling. So I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of business day, a take care of yourself day, a take a nap day, a cuddle your fur babies day. I'm going to have a catter day. I hope you will have some kind of, special day there as well. A enjoy the cooler weather day, a drink plenty of water day, a stay out of the direct sunlight between 10 and 2 day. Make sure you get your vitamin D though day, a have a good laugh day, a do something just for yourself day, a do something for somebody else day, a you got this day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You're a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark, spirit, I think I said spirit in motion, God in action, a beautiful masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to say, you are a godling. All right, beloveds. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. As he said in here, you can only know God as well as you know yourself. So get to know who the divine knows you to be. The divine knows you to be good. It's all the divine knows. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds. Like I said, I'm going to go get something to eat. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I feel like there was something else I was about. Oh, I'll be back with you tomorrow. I hope to go to the gym tomorrow, provided the trainer's not sick. So, yeah, you can help me know that whatever he had last week, he's over. Take care of yourself. So I'll see you around 8:45 is what I'm trying to say. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.